Just in time. All right, I just found something out. And like every other reporter out there, I'll let you know about it. Welcome to the superpilotish channel. My name is Graham Wilson, and today in my basement, I'm going to be telling you all about the blue ghost. What is the blue ghost? I didn't even know about that till today, but it turns out it landed on the moon, which is super cool. And like I just found that out. I don't know, maybe a half hour before doing the show here, Googling around and looking for aviation news. And it's funny, I went on this, a few different um, aviation websites and news websites and trying to get ideas for the show. And I went to this Canadian one. It was like nothing. And then I go on, and I got it on my little computer over here. What was that on? We got NASA up here. We got Wikipedia up here. Wingsmagazine.com. Yeah, so as I found that, and I was like, what? Something landed on the moon? It's kind of one of those things that you get so used to all these like rockets going up and SpaceX and NASA and oh yeah, we got a rover up on Mars. Whatever. It's kind of weird. I think that's the way it was. Like from what I've heard, like I don't know, in movies and stuff, it was like, oh yay, first man on the moon. After that, by like 1973, it's like, so some guys are doing some donuts in a dune buggy. Who cares? And there was like, was it Apollo 13, something like that? But yeah, so it was like checked it out, and it looks like it was the first time that I'll read the article here because that's what media does, right? So this is from wingsmagazine.com. Excitement for Canadian company as Firefly's Blue Ghost lands on the moon. So this company, it's a Canadian company, got a contract from NASA to stick something on the moon there. And so apparently they launched it back in mid-January, January 15th, on a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket that got it out of the atmosphere here. And then boom, the little Firefly the Blue Ghost was on its way over to the moon. And so we'll just kind of, and this is like the first private lunar lander that's made it to the moon. So like, it was just like, yeah, some company. Okay, so I'll just read the article like reporters do. So, the head of a Quebec aerospace company says he's thrilled by the confirmation that a private lunar lander has touched down on the moon with his company's technology aboard. Firefly Aerospace's Blue Ghost successfully descended from lunar orbit on autopilot early Sunday morning, so that was yesterday, carrying experiments for NASA and several Canadian-based technologies. Jean de La Fontaine says that the moment has been a decade in the making for Sherbrooke, Quebec-based NGC Aerospace, which produces a GPS-like lunar navigation system that uses the moon's craters as references. Lunar navigation. So that's interesting. Okay. He said the company has experience deploying technology on satellites orbiting and has tested the lunar system repeatedly on simulators, quote, but there's nothing like making it happen in the real environment of the moon, he said Sunday in a phone interview. He says the technology should allow scientists to calculate lunar landings far more accurately than previously to within as little as 100 meters, allowing them to more quickly reach interesting areas of study and avoid dangerous spots. Okay, yeah, you got to navigate if you're going to be flying somewhere, even if it's on the moon. And here's another quote. If you aim at an area which is flat and safe, then precision landing allows you to land exactly where you want it to be. He said, adding that he expects to receive data back in coming days that will show him how well the technology performed. The lunar lander carried a drill, vacuum, and other experiments for NASA, as well as NGC's software and a Canadian-made moon dust repellent. Moon dust repellent. That's cool. Jacob Kleiman, the president and CEO of Integrity Testing Laboratory, Inc., told the Canadian press the lander was carrying samples treated with a coating developed by the Markham, Ontario-based company. These will be tested for their ability to repel the tiny abrasive particles of lunar dust that cling to everything from mechanical equipment to astronaut suits. That makes sense because yeah, the astronaut suits, they were all dirty when they came back from the moon way back when. Okay, Sunday's upright and stable landing makes Firefly the first private outfit to put a spacecraft on the moon without crashing or falling over. Two other companies' landers are following close behind the Blue Ghost, with the next one expecting to join it on the moon later this week. And I might even report on it. No one else is. Okay, Dr. LaFontaine, De La Fontaine says the success of the private lander is proof that access to the moon is increasing rapidly. It's not only governments that can spend the energy and money to get to the moon, he said. Private companies can do that. So it's like a democratization of the moon, basically. So this report was by the Canadian Press, published March 2nd, and with files from the Associated Press and Sarah Smelly in St. John's, Newfoundland. Oh, who would want to have a name like Sarah Smelly? That's pretty bad. And well, I mean, I'm sure she's a nice lady, but this was by Morgan Lowry, the Canadian Press. So, all right, there we go. I just did a bunch of reading here, and then I flipped back to my thing, and I see Ren showed up in the chat. So there we go. Yeah, so I was like, I was pretty surprised that it's like, what? Something just landed on the moon, and it's like, didn't even hear about it. Well, you hear about it here on the superpilotish channel because I am a just-in-time aviation reporter. Because I just looked at this a little while ago. So what is this Firefly company, the Blue Ghost? Yeah, it kind of looks like just your standard. I don't know. I'm not really. I was thinking if I had my other monitor here, I could share pictures and stuff like that. And I kind of do want to use my whiteboard because I like doing that too. So here we go. Here's our lunar lander. And, you know, it looks like your standard lunar lander. It's got some little discs on the bottom here. It's got a few legs, kind of goes like that. You got a thingamajig here. It's got a bunch of solar panels on there. It's got probably some little antenna. There we go. That's what the solar, that's what the little Firefly Blue Ghost looks like. So maybe it'd have another leg back here. I don't know if it's got 3 or 4, but yeah. But just looking at that thing, and like I put the my little thumbnail for this video, I put it up there, and so you can see it's got all this kind of like gold tinfoil stuff on it, and yeah. I've been to NASA down in Florida, or the Kennedy Space Center, and I've been to. They have a capsule at the National Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio, and so I've seen a little bit of these spacecraft here and there. Never flown one. Kind of don't want to. That's pretty dangerous going up there, but what I was always really impressed, or not really impressed, but I just kind of remarked or noticed that any of the stuff that I saw up close and personal, I'm looking at it and it's just like, I can make that. I got my toolbox over here. You know, give me a chunk of aluminum and a mill and a lathe, and it's like, I can whip that up. It's like, it's kind of strange that we're having such a I don't know. And then I was looking at the Blue Ghost here too, and it looks pretty conventional in the way that it's used. You know, you have socket head cap screws and drilled out holes and milled down plane surfaces and stuff like that, and just up you go. And the other thing I saw, so, there was a satellite that was at the Air Force Museum in Dayton, and it was so they kind of have a mock-up of the one of the space shuttles. I think they have the actual cockpit from one of the space shuttles there. I forget what it is. Yeah, I think it is the actual cockpit part, but then the rest they kind of made it like so the cargo bay for the space shuttle would be to scale. And they did have a satellite that was in there that they went up, picked it up, brought it back, and okay, here's the satellite. And then I was looking at the satellite, and it looked really normal too. It had that tinfoil stuff all over it, bunch of drilled out holes, and I was looking at the wiring on it. It's like that's your standard aviation wiring 101. Like if you look at the back of a radio stack on an airplane, it's got all these little white wires. And it's kind of funny how the airplanes don't have, like, you'd think they'd have like a red and a black wire or a green or something like that. I guess some of them do, but a lot of it's just this standard white covered aviation wire 101 or whatever it's called. And then it's like, but I guess it's designed for a lot of vibration and lightweight. So that's why that's the right tool for the job. And it's like, hey, I fly a Cessna that's got wiring like that. And it's like, oh, I've made parts for robots and made parts for automation and I don't know, mining parts and stuff like that. It looks like that. And that's what they went up to space with. And a little side note there too, shout out to Sudbury, Ontario. It was kind of years ago when I was living up in Sudbury, there was the engineering school there won a competition. It was for it was a competition that was held at NASA. It was like for you to make a way of transporting moon dust or moon dirt. So the thing is, the in Sudbury at the time, there's a local the science center there actually had some moon dust, and it was brought back to them to donate it to the science center because the NASA, when they were going up to the moon, a lot of scientists and stuff, they came up to Sudbury, which is very rocky, and they were kind of studying that, like, is this what the surface of the moon would look like? How would we navigate this? What if we were going to take rock samples back? They talked to the mining experts up in Sudbury, Ontario, and so in return is like, here's some moon dust. So I think the kids that won the competition, they had actual moon dust, so they could see how it would pile up and how much you could scoop out with a little conveyor belt. And that's just a little, I don't know, factoid that I have in my head. So anyways, but that's kind of cool. Sudbury, all right, always at the forefront of space exploration or mining anyways. So yeah, there we go. That's what's up on the moon right now. There you go. Compliments of the superpilotish channel. And so yeah, I didn't have really too much to say about that. Oh, I guess I could check out a little bit more. I'll do a little bit more research for you, so you don't have to. Oh, the other thing there too, that for the payloads, so it's designed so that it can take up about 200 pounds worth of payload, and so I guess they did that up there. And they're going to be. I saw another video where this is where my whiteboard will come in handy again. So our little Firefly Blue Ghost, it's gonna be drilling into the rock there. So it's got a little drill that comes out here, goes into, it's gonna drill a hole, and it's gonna collect some dust and stuff like that. So dust and dirt and minerals and whatever. Find some gold. There we go. Digging for gold on the moon. Or who knows? Who knows what they'll find up there? Maybe bones from an ancient civilization that used to live on the moon. And I don't know, maybe. And then so yeah, and I guess the Blue Ghost, so it's supposed to, they got a contract for 3 of these things. So I'm reading here too that the second Blue Ghost lander is scheduled for launch in 2026, and then the third Blue Ghost mission is planned for 2028. So we're 2025 right now, so they're going to be launching another one and then another one. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, so there we go. So that's like it's kind of interesting that they would give oh, hey, Filipino working at CVS, I see you popped into the chat. Hi, welcome. And yeah, so it's kind of like Canada and the United States have always, maybe not always, been working together for space exploration and stuff like that, but every Canadian out there is going to tell you that we invented the Canadarm that was on the space shuttle, and ooh, that's our Canadarm. I actually worked with a guy that made parts for that. He worked at a machine shop here in Windsor, and all the parts for the Canadarm for the space shuttle, they were all kind of farmed out here and there. And yeah, so I know one guy, he worked on a part of the Canadarm. Hey, there we go. And then there was what was the first space satellite from Canada? Alouette 1, I think, was a communication satellite. And so I don't know, NASA and Canada. I mean, of course, NASA's the juggernaut there, and SpaceX is huge and everything. But us little Canadians, we throw some stuff into space sometimes too, with the help of our big American friends. So, okay, here we go. Yeah, whatever. Been here for about 15 minutes or so, blabbing about space. But yeah, there you go. So, congratulations to the Firefly team and everybody else there, NASA and SpaceX and everyone involved. There's always a huge amount of teamwork gets into putting a project like that together. And so, good job, everybody. Thumbs up. Okay, and we'll see what see who's in the. We'll see that Wrench is late here. Oh, geez. Okay. Okay, what else we got here? Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so Wrench is saying that they actually have a lunar lander and a lunar dune buggy in Hutchinson, Texas. Hutchinson, Kansas, a museum called the Cosmosphere. Oh, that's pretty cool. You know, that's one of these things too. They got all these neat little museums here. Like when I was driving back through, coming back from Florida this year, drove through Dayton, which is like super aviation, everything there, you know, Wright Brothers and all that. So I still have to see, I got to see the Waco Museum there from the Waco Air Factory, the Waco Air Aerospace Company, Airplane Company, where they started making Wacos back in the day. And I got to go to Wapakoneta to go to the Neil Armstrong Museum there too. So good old Wapakoneta. So if I do that, I think I've knocked out pretty much every major aviation thing around Dayton. But if I'm ever in Kansas, it's like I gotta hit the Cosmosphere. All right, what else we got here? Yeah, there we go. Ranch remembers when all the science fiction books had the Nazis on the far side of the moon. Yeah, it's like I had one guy. He was a bit of a nut that I flew with him a couple times, and he was like, "Yeah, did you know that the Nazis are actually on the moon?" And it's like, "Yeah, check this out." And it was like some YouTube video with this really grainy picture. See that? It's designed like a swastika. I'm like, okay, dude, cool. He kind of went away, but he was a good pilot. There we go. And yes, good old Phil, who's working at CBS. I am doing well. Thank you for the comment there, Mr. Filipino working at CBS. And what's this here? You could shorten the Canada arm. Yeah. Oh, and then Wrench is saying here, he's my my fact checker of the show. Unofficial fact checker. I guess there are 3 moon landing missions this week. Yeah, I read that too. There's another Japanese one going up. Or did I already mention that? Where did I see this? Okay, that was from. Oh yeah, I saw that on the launch thing. Yeah, so when they launched that one, Firefly's Blue Ghost on a Falcon 9 on the 15th, but it also launched. What is it? Some Japanese one. I read it here somewhere. I missed it. Okay, so yeah, there we go. I will take your word for that, Wrench, because it seems in my little research that I did for this, I think there's like a Japanese communication satellite that's going up there too, to orbit and maybe land or something. But there we go. Moon's getting closer and closer with all this technology, and it's kind of amazing that like private companies can just do it. But I mean, if you figure we've been going to the moon for 55 years, so it's like, oh well, we should be able to get to the moon after 55 years. Yeah. So what would be 55 years after? When did the Wright brothers first fly? I should know that. 1903. So 1958. Yeah. So 55 years after the Wright brothers flew. What was it? First rocket? 1958. Is that the first satellite that went up? Something like that? Or I don't know. Well, yeah, or was that when good old Yuri Gagarin went up there? I'm gonna Google that right now. Yuri Gagarin, first guy in outer space, Soviet pilot. And when did he go? Soviet space program, selection and train Vostok 1. Oh, yeah. So Gagarin went to space 1961. Okay. Yeah, there we go. So, anyways, yeah, that's right. December 1903. Thanks for the fact check there. Yeah, so I figure 55 years after the Wright brothers, another 3 years from that, good old Yuri went up in space, man. That's like, so, I mean, if we hit the moon, 55, I would say probably give it another 3 or 4 years, could be on track to go into Mars or something. Who knows? Interesting stuff. So, anyways, that's about it. And yeah, just figured I'd do some kind of a show here. And I managed to pull it off, even if it's just a little one today, nothing too crazy. And I did manage to use my whiteboard, which I'm quite happy about. And yeah, so that's about it. Okay, today is Monday, back at it. And so I'll be back on Wednesday because I do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon Eastern. And there we go. We'll kind of shut her down. Wrench is saying that Luna 1 reached the moon in 1959. Oh, I did not know that. Lots of research on this stuff. There we go. And yeah, so we'll just kind of shut her down. And thanks for all the information there, Wrench. And thank you for watching. Bye.